I was just thinking that, imagine you bought this as a car for your family. And then will your family complain about it? Like, let's say your parents or your wife saying that this was an indulgence that you made.
This is your line. This is not our line.
Correct. It's not our line. They will never get to that point.
Got it.
First idea that I want to deal with when talking about the R-Line.
Okay.
Octavia vRS.
Oh, really?
Right. So Octavia, and then we get the VRS,
Right.
which is the sporty Octavia. So if you think about the R-Line like that, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
It's an SUV, which has become a sporty SUV. And so for people who wanted a more performance-oriented, a more exciting car, this will work.
Okay.
Because not only does it look sporty, what VW have got on this, which is a big difference from the previous Tiguan, is that this also has the adaptive suspension, or what they call it as DCC Pro, Dynamic Chassis Control Pro. Earlier, we used to get drive modes on the Tiguan. This one has drive modes plus that chassis control.
Got it.
So you've got adaptive suspension. And it's clearly setting the mood for the car. Even when you get into the car the first time and you start driving it, even in comfort mode. So it's got the usual presets, eco, comfort, sport, like that. So there's stuff to learn in the car as you drive along. So I put it in comfort. I was driving it around and I was thinking, yeah, this is a little, like even in comfort, it's feeling sporty.
Okay.
Right? You can feel the little bit of, like how our roads are never properly smooth.
Yeah.
So you feel that
little bit of
finer
feedback
movement.
always.
Yeah, there's always a little bit of happening. So it's like, okay, it's feeling sporty even in comfort. But how much of it is the tire? Right? And how much of it is the suspension? So the more time I spent with the car, I realized that this suspension has that little bit of firmness about it at low speeds over the smaller broken stuff. But the incredible part about it is that when you get to the rougher stuff or anything that gets big, you don't have to increase speed, or it doesn't have to be that, okay, at speed it gets better and at lower speeds it's not. Anything, even at low speeds, if you get something big, it immediately adapts.
Right.
So the suspension never gets uncomfortable.
Got it.
It never gets rude, like to the point. I was just thinking that, imagine you bought this as a car for your family. And then will your family complain about it? Like, let's say your parents or your wife saying that this was an indulgence that you made.
This is your line. This is not our line.
Correct. It's not our line. They will never get to that point.
Got it.
You will hear the tire, you will hear the suspension work, and like we saw the Kodiak, you hear the suspension here as well. But it's a little bit more apparent, and that is down to the tires.
Got it. So let me just clarify what he's telling you in terms of tech. What he's saying is these are adaptive shock absorber units. And what they basically do is, as the wheel starts to move the suspension into the stroke, the vehicle can calculate how to respond to this particular movement. So when a large bump arrives, you'll have basically a fast movement in the stroke, and the suspension will be very quickly able to adapt rebound and compression to take care of it. Sometimes it is calculated per shock. Sometimes it is calculated as a set of 4 shocks. Sometimes it is calculated using an IMU type of device, which lets the ECU know what's the attitude of the vehicle right now and which shock to adapt to what state to give you this feeling. There are multiple ways to do it, but they all achieve the same result depending on the preset you're using, which sets the roll idea for this particular mode, how to adapt the suspension for this particular situation, and depending on the sophistication of the suspension, this can happen multiple times per second.
Correct.
And the more times a second it can adapt, the more controlled the vehicle stays.
Correct. So the step up in terms of technology also with this one is that earlier they used to have a single valve design for the adaptive suspension. That's a 2-valve design. So it can adjust better, faster.
Correct.
So it feels very accomplished because of the suspension setup. And the reason why the Octavia vRS comes up here for me is because the Octavia vRS was fun, but at the same time, it was still usable. It didn't go so hard that it became unfriendly. Like you could take your family out with it. You would know it's a sportier machine, and that's with standard suspension, right? It could still manage to do that.
Right.
But by virtue of being a sedan, it has more, it has more latitude to accommodate that way. Right? Because it's lower, so the ground clear, the center of gravity is lower, so it has to work less hard to manage all of this. Whereas on an SUV, it's taller, heavier, so it has to work harder to manage all these things.
Right.
So, which is why the Octavia aspect to it.
That is a clip from MotorInc. And what that means is if you'd like to see more of these, you can do two things. One is stay on this channel, subscribe and watch more, or you can come to the main MotorInc channel where you'll find a much longer video that discusses this idea in a lot more detail.